know what it is about this anime series, but it really does a great job of bringing out some raw emotion in its viewers. I have to say that the final scene from this week's episode where Kaio Hinazuki is spending the night with Satoru and his mother, and they have this really nice family moment, especially the breakfast scene, it just brought me to my knees. It brought me to tears. The minute that music kicks in and Kaio starts to cry is just one of the most heartfelt moments that I've seen from the entire series. And this week's episode of Erased is a perfect example of why the show has some really great writing and amazing atmosphere. And it's a show that will just completely give you the feels. Now, the biggest thing about this episode is that we finally get to see who that intruder was at the end of last week's episode. And to say that we actually get to see them is to say that we actually don't, because they're still a complete mystery, but apparently it is the killer who's actually stowing away some things in this bus, which has like a mask, some rope, a spray bottle, all types of stuff which basically looks like something that a serial killer would use. Now, knowing that this guy knows this location and he's like sort of operating within this area, they decide that they have to move Kaio somewhere else, and Satoru has no choice but to bring Kaio and his friends to the mom's house. But Satoru's mother's really smart. She knows everything that's sort of been going on, and she's been allowing her son to sort of get away with this. And that's one of the biggest themes of this week's episode, which of course is trust. She completely trusts everything that her son is doing, and she's actually looking out for the well-being of Kaio as well. In fact, there's a lot of little cues in this episode which I think are frankly just very subtle but genius for actually characterizing these people. So when Kaio Hinazuki goes to Satoru's house and confronted by Satoru's mother, she reaches out to her, and as she's doing this, Kaio starts to like quench up, and she gets all scared because she feels like she's about to be hurt. She's about to be hit. These are the things that constantly go on in her life, and yet she just ends up getting invited into a warm house to have a wonderful meal with people. She takes a bath with Satoru's mom, which is a nice, heartwarming scene. I loved Satoru's reaction to this, where he's like, get a grip, you're 29 years old, don't think about this too much. And then they finally decide to go to sleep, and when she wakes up the next morning, Satoru's mother is making breakfast, and it's a beautiful scene. She makes this lovingly made breakfast for these kids, and when she walks over and sees this, she's reminded of all of the things that her mother always did for her with breakfast, which were basically just a cup of ramen, a couple of cents to go and buy something. And when she sees this, she starts to break down and cry, which is such an amazingly therapeutic scene for this character, because she's finally realizing all of the terrible things that have happened to her, and she's accepted the fact that if all of this ends up working out, her mother will be sent away, and she'll no longer have to put up with any of this again. The scene, to me, was one of the most powerful scenes from the entire series. It's so simple, it's so subtle, but it just works on so many levels, and I'll be damned if it doesn't at least choke some of you up. It really got to me big time, and they could have ended the episode right there, and I would have been completely satisfied, but the episode ends after a couple of days of being away from Kaio's mother. Kaio, Satoru, and his mother confront her at the very end of the episode. Don't know where this is going, but I can't wait to see. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Erased? What can I say that hasn't already been said before? This is a show that has some really well done written characters. It's got this sci-fi element behind it because of the time travel, but it's also got this family, heartfelt, warm feeling to it that I frankly cannot describe, and this is a series that does these moments really well. They're very short-lived scenes, and we've seen a lot of them like that in the series, but that scene where she spends time with Satoru and her mom, honestly, I think is just one of the greatest moments from the entire series. And if it can make, like, someone like me actually, like, get the feels from that, I think that it's doing a really effective job, because again, Erased is typically not the type of anime series that I usually watch. I'm more of the action type of guy, but little by little I've been starting to watch more different series, and I'm glad I am, because I'm really starting to appreciate a lot more anime because of it. And Erased is one of those shows that if you're a casual anime fan or a hardcore anime fan, you should definitely check out, because you're at least going to get something out of it. You know, if you're not going to like the story, you might like the artwork and the animation, you might like the atmosphere, you might like the background music. The good thing is everything in the series is done really well, and it's still an amazingly tense series. because we still don't really know anything. We don't know who the killer is, what his true motives are outside of just frankly killing people, and I can imagine that when it finally is revealed, it is going to be one hell of a bombshell, and I can't wait to see how that's going to go down. We only have a couple more to go before we get to that revelation, but in the meantime, let's just kick back, relax, and enjoy this incredibly heartfelt and beautiful anime series. I loved this episode right here. I thought the pacing was really good. I thought all the character moments were great, and the final scenes with Kaio hanging out with Satoru and his family was just gorgeous. It was amazing. So anime fans, check out this series. I'm giving this week's episode a 5 out of 5. I thought it was a wonderful anime experience that anyone should definitely check out. But if you did watch this week's episode of Erased, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Did you get any more clues about who the killer could be in this episode? Do you still think it might actually be the teacher? Might it be someone that we've never even seen before? And do you like how the events are actually changing now? Like how Satoru actually ran into that other student in the morning who actually might have actually been one who was killed before? And did you actually get the feels from watching all of those scenes with Kaio hanging out with Satoru's family? Make sure to tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. You guys are awesome. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and thank you again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!